It's Wednesday, November 1. In the headlines, flash flood watch in effect as more rainfall is expected. In business news, Gary Allen to step down as CEO of RJR Gleaner Group. Regionally, more African banks urged to set up in the Caribbean. Internationally, U.S. President Joe Biden's support plummets to 17% among Arab Americans. And in sports, Jamaica's premier sporting venues unaffected by Monday's earthquake. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. We begin with a weather alert from the Meteorological Service of Jamaica. The agency has issued a flash flood watch effective until 5 p.m. on Wednesday, November 1. The flash flood watch is in effect for low-lying and flood-prone areas of St. Mary, Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Catherine. A flash flood watch means that flash flooding is possible and residents are advised to take precautionary measures, keep informed by listening to further releases from the Meteorological Service, and be ready for quick action if flooding is observed or if a warning is issued. The Met Service says a broad trough currently located across the Central Caribbean is producing a large area of cloudiness with showers and thunderstorms and is expected to linger across the region through to Friday. Additionally, a prefrontal trough is expected to move into the region by Thursday. That system is expected to interact with the broad trough, resulting in greater instability across the area, especially Wednesday and Thursday. The forecast is for mostly cloudy conditions with periods of showers and thunderstorms, which could be heavy at times, to continue affecting mainly eastern and central parishes through to Friday, especially during the afternoons and continuing into the nights. Additionally, gusty winds are expected to affect the island beginning on Thursday. Today marks the start of EJamaica Month. It is being held by the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining in collaboration with the Jamaica Agriculture Society. Portfolio Minister Floyd Green says a major focus of the month is the support for farmers.
We must support our local farmers, fishers and agripreneurs by eating Jamaican. This is even more important this year. Our farmers and fishers have gone through a most difficult time. In fact, our farmers have faced the most difficult drought ever recorded in the history of our country. And now they're going through short bouts of intense rainfall, which unfortunately is leading to flooding and displacement.
Minister Green says eating Jamaican benefits the farmers financially and morally, as it encourages them to continue their work in contributing to Jamaica's food security.
As it attempts to change our consumption patterns from a diet of largely imports to that of local production, while reminding the world that we do have the best food in the world.
EJamaica Day will be celebrated on November 24, and this year the main parish in focus is Portland.
To our College of Agriculture, Science and Education. The event will feature a number of activities, including our official ceremony to mark EJamaica Day, an award ceremony for our farmers, an exposition showcasing our Jamaica delicacies. For us, we thought it very important to incorporate our training institutions as a part of our EJamaica Month celebration, because the reality, if we are going to fundamentally transform our agri-food systems, that it has to start from our training institutions. So we'll be hosted by CASE, but we will have all our entities, Ebony Park, Nakalva, will be there with us to celebrate EJamaica Day.
He says a Food Security Council is being established as a joint initiative between the government of Jamaica and the private sector organization of Jamaica.
And brings together members of our ministry's technical teams with our agri-based private sector. The council is co-chaired by Matthew Lynn from the CB Group, who is the PSOJ's representative on agriculture, and I co-chair the council with Matthew. The council emerged out of work that was done by JAMPRO and our Ministry of Industry some years ago, where we developed a national food security and agribusiness strategy. And the council seeks to ensure that there's alignment between government policy and the work of the private sector.
He furthers that the transformation of the agri-food sector must be private sector led. He also noted that the first meeting is set to be held on Wednesday.
This morning's meeting will focus on the refinement of the terms of reference of the Food Security and Agribusiness Council. Also, we'll take a look at the Ministry of Agriculture's focus on building out 3,000 acres of orchard crops over the next 3 to 5 years, and also our new push for aquaculture under our new Face of Food initiative. There will be other activities, including EJamaica Day as a competition. And what I encourage everybody is please pay attention to the ministry's website, also the JAS social media pages to see some of our EJamaica Month activity.
Minister of Local Government and Community Development Desmond McKenzie is calling for wider discussions regarding traffic management, especially during a natural disaster. Speaking during the National Disaster Risk Management Council meeting this week, he said the matter was not the sole responsibility of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Mr. McKenzie noted that the free movement of emergency vehicles is a matter that the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation needs to address. For his part, Kingston's Mayor, Senator Councillor Delroy Williams, said in the case of a major earthquake, deliberations should be held to determine whether there is a need to develop protocols for schools and institutions. Jamaica was rocked by a magnitude 5.6 earthquake on Monday. The earthquake, which lasted approximately 30 seconds, had its epicenter 10 kilometers south of Buff Bay in Portland and was felt in eastern Jamaica and several other parishes. The heavy shaking caused people to flee buildings and caused minor damage to several buildings. Time now for the business report with Danita Rodney.
Radio Jamaica's board on Tuesday announced that RJR Gleaner Communications Group Chief Executive Officer Gary Allen will step down as Managing Director of the company and CEO of the group effective December 31, 2023. The board says Deputy Chief Executive Officer for Print and Digital Services Anthony Smith will assume duties as the new CEO on January 1, 2024. A statement from RJR says Mr. Allen will remain with the group, serving as Group Senior Executive of Corporate and External Affairs, working closely with Board Chairman Joseph Matalon and the new CEO. Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Tuesday, October 31, the US dollar sold for an average of $156.07. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $113.72. The pound sterling traded for $189, and the euro sold for $168.88. In JSE trading, the JSE index advanced by over 4,901 points. The junior market index advanced by over 2 points. The combined market index advanced by over 4,606 points. And the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by over 4,648 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 106 stocks, of which 45 advanced, 49 declined, and 12 traded firm. Stocks advanced for Blue Power Group Limited, Cargo Handlers Limited, and the Caribbean Cement Company Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Viable Preference, and AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited. Trading firm were Access Financial Services Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Epler Limited 7.75% preference shares. The overall volume leaders were Future Energy Source Company Limited ordinary shares with over 15 million units, Indies Pharma Jamaica Limited ordinary shares with over 6 million units, and One-on-One Educational Services Limited with over 3 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Calypso Macro Index 1 posted a volume of 20,000 shares. On the Barbuda Stock Exchange, the Caribbean Property Fund Value Fund was the volume leader with 105 shares. They were followed by Goddard Enterprises Limited and Emira Deposit Receipt, which traded 28 and 8 shares respectively. In regional business, with the entry of the Africa Export and Import Afrexim Bank in the region, Barbados' Prime Minister Mia Mottley would like to see African commercial and investment banks follow suit. Ms. Mottley expressed optimism more Caribbean countries will join the Afrexim Bank,
who can then make a huge difference to the level of economic activity in the Caribbean, but more importantly even, to give confidence to the players from Africa with whom they have already existing relationships, that this is an area where business can be facilitated, not just by governments, but by dealing with entities with whom you already have a relationship. I trust and pray that equally, Caribbean people in going to Ghana and wherever else Republic Bank will go, will also have that initial bridge, so that as you walk tentatively out into new horizons, you know that you have faces and spaces that you are comfortable in. This bank has placed before the region, without even having all of the countries of the Caribbean community on board, the ability to have a line of credit of $1.5 billion, even though two of the largest countries in the region have not yet joined, and we hope to see them soon. But the bottom line is that tell me how many other countries, institutions, Secretary General, have seen us or heard us and are prepared to work with us in the last few years.
In international business, Wall Street's main indexes ended Tuesday's session with gains as investors looked ahead to the Federal Reserve's monetary policy update and reacted to a mixed batch of earnings report.
The Dow gained about 0.4%, the S&P 500 increased more than 0.6%, and the Nasdaq added roughly 0.5%. The Fed kicked off a two-day monetary policy meeting at which the central bank is widely expected to hold interest rates steady. Investors will monitor Fed Chair Jerome Powell's comments on Wednesday for clues about its future plans. Shana Orzik-Sissel, founder and CEO at Bonrian Capital Management, thinks those plans should include another rate hike sooner rather than later.
The Fed has a conundrum right now. They are pausing because they want to see if what they've done so far will impact the economy and slow it down. The problem is there's no evidence that that's the case. And if they wait too long to make another rate hike, it is going to cause complete chaos in the markets. I think the markets think the Fed is done. The problem is the economic data the Fed pays attention to, GDP growth, labor markets, wage growth, CPI, those types of things are not actually showing that the Fed has been successful in slowing economic growth.
In earnings news, Caterpillar, viewed as an economic bellwether, saw its shares fall more than 6.5% as signs of slowing machinery demand overshadowed a quarterly earnings beat. Drug maker Amgen's stock lost more than 2.5% as third-quarter sales of some high-profile medicines were below expectations. NVIDIA shares dipped nearly 1% after a report said the latest U.S. restrictions on semiconductor chips could force the company to cancel billions of dollars of orders to China. And shares of Pinterest rallied 19% after the image-sharing platform beat third-quarter revenue and profit estimates.
In market data for oil prices rose more than 1% on Wednesday ahead of the keenly watched meeting of the U.S. Central Bank for clues on interest rate policy, while the conflict in the Middle East remains in focus. Brent crude futures were up 90 cents to $85.92 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude futures also gained 90 cents to $81.92. And that was the Business Report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, Barbados is encouraging African commercial and investment banks to set up operations in the Caribbean. Prime Minister Mia Mottley has made the call, urging the financial institutions in Africa to follow the example of the African Export-Import Bank. Her comments come as she leads a Barbados delegation at the ongoing second Afro-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum in Guyana. Kishmar Sonjust reports.
Drawing reference to the entry of Republic Bank in Ghana, Prime Minister Mia Mottley sees this as a major step for Caribbean entities. The Barbadian leader wants African banks to consider reciprocating. She weighed in on the impact of such a move in her address at the second Africa-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum. The event being held in Guyana was organized under the theme, Creating a Shared Prosperous Future.
Who will then, and investment banks, who can then make a huge difference to the level of economic activity in the Caribbean, but more importantly even, to give confidence to the players from Africa with whom they have already existing relationships, that this is an area where business can be facilitated, not just by governments, but by dealing with entities with whom you already have a relationship. I trust and pray that equally, Caribbean people in going to Ghana and wherever else Republic Bank will go, will also have that initial bridge, so that as you walk tentatively out into new horizons, you know that you have faces and spaces that you are comfortable in.
During a panel discussion, Barbados' Central Bank Governor Dr. Kevin Greenidge revealed that work is advancing for Caribbean countries to trade in their own currencies with Africa. He noted that countries are looking to adopt a currency conversion mechanism.
That in of itself not only promotes growth in terms of trade and investment facilitation, it also eliminates transaction costs. It senses a settlement in the net position. It saves us some foreign currency. It promotes financial inclusion. We don't have to source US dollars when trading between Guyana, for example, and Barbados. We can settle in each other's currency. We're looking to start a pilot program, Barbados and Bahamas, and we're looking for a third central bank.
Dr. Greenidge says there's need for cooperation between central banks in the Caribbean and Africa.
We have to have functional cooperation between the central banks in the African continent and the Caribbean in terms of standardization, regulations, how any regulatory barriers, etc., to move forward. We've already, a number of us have these relationships already, but it will be making it even wider. And once that's up and running, then it's just go from there. We need, of course, some trade agreements, and Afro-Exempt Bank in the Caribbean and Barbados is part of that process, facilitating it. As Jean Leon said earlier, we need some financing facilities.
Guyana's President, Dr. Irfan Ali, meanwhile, challenged the private sector to help find a solution to the problems facing transportation in the region.
Afro-Exim Bank has assured us that they are ready to examine a proposal from the regional private sector to present this solution. Every single state in CARICOM has made it clear that we will give all the incentives necessary to facilitate the building of a regional transport infrastructure system to solve the problem of regional transport. It is in your hands now.
The inaugural Afro-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum was held in Barbados last year. Kishmar Sonjust, CBC News.
The Bahamas hitting another tourism milestone as Minister of Tourism Chester Cooper says the country surpassed 7.2 million arrivals at the end of September, the same number of arrivals that the country saw in 2019, which was touted as a banner year for tourism.
Which means, as I stand here today, we have exceeded the full year 2019 numbers already at the end of September. Wow. So that record has fallen. Yep. And this year is already our new record year.
The Deputy Prime Minister telling parliamentarians the first 9 months saw 1.3 million air arrivals and 5.8 million arrivals by sea. He said September 2023, air and sea arrivals increased by 50%.
Cruise arrivals for the beginning of the year through September up 60%, over the corresponding period in 2022 and 45% ahead of 2019. Foreign air arrivals, which represent stopover visitors, are up 20% over the same period in 2022, and through September, we are right at the number of 2019, as I've said. Hotel occupancy is up over 2019.
The Antigua and Barbuda flag, which made it to the edge of space in August, is now officially a part of the country's history. The mother-daughter duo, which took the flag with them on their historic journey aboard Virgin Galactic, presented the flag to the museum in St. John's on Tuesday morning. Philana Johnson reports.
This is the flag that was taken to space with the mother and daughter duo, Keisha Shahaf and Anastasia Mears. The ceremony on Tuesday at the museum is on the eve of the country's celebration of its 42nd anniversary of independence. Shahaf shared how she felt about the exhibition.
It's overwhelming, and I'm so happy, I'm so pleased. I just feel this big thrill inside, and I'm just so excited that our nation gets to share in, a dream came true for me, and I'm just so proud.
Shahaf also urges individuals to invest in self-development.
I came from a mindset where I thought that good things couldn't happen to me, and I felt like, time is passing and my dreams are not coming through, and I just felt so frustrated. And then I thought, what do I have control of? I have control of my own mindset. I have control of my own actions, my own habits. How can I shift them? So I started to shift them and started being more positive with myself.
She highlights this shift motivated her to take the risk and enter the raffle, which paved the way for her journey to the edge of space.
It's amazing. They're all going to the window and taking in this just absolutely incredible view of Earth, the planet where all of their experiences are held. Everything they've ever known is down below.
She also reveals her plans for the future.
I'm definitely working on how we can create a sustainable lifestyle in Antigua and Barbuda, and I'm currently looking for volunteers to start a committee together where we can make some impact work. I'm also looking at how can we bring space to the schools as well, getting into the schools, even if it's once a month, visiting a different school to speak with the children and inspire them with my story of going to space.
If you are interested in being a volunteer, you can send her a message on Instagram or WhatsApp 784-2024.
Now, visitors will have the opportunity to experience the wonders of space right here on Earth. From the museum, I am Philana Johnson reporting for ABS News.
In international news, Arab-American support for United States President Joe Biden has plummeted to an all-time low of 17% as he continues to back the Israeli offensive on Gaza, according to a new survey. Al Jazeera's John Hendren reports.
In the streets of Dearborn, Michigan, overwhelming support for President Joe Biden has turned to anger.
When we voted for Joe Biden, when I worked on his campaign, I thought he would be somebody that could lead with humanity and compassion. Clearly I was wrong, so I definitely feel betrayed.
More than half of Dearborn's residents are of Arab descent, and 70% of them voted for Biden in 2020. But since Biden embraced Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel's war in Gaza, that support has largely evaporated.
We worked very hard to elect him in 2020, and now we don't feel seen, we don't feel heard, and we don't feel safe in our communities because of the rhetoric coming from the Biden administration.
It's a popular topic of conversation in establishments like Haraz Coffee House amid the mingled sense of the Middle East and North Africa. The loss of Arab American and Muslim American support could prove costly for Biden. Donald Trump won in the state of Michigan by 10,000 votes in 2016, and in 2020, Biden won by 155,000. There are 200,000 registered Muslim voters in the state of Michigan. Wayne County Commissioner Sam Beydoun, a Democrat who came from Lebanon in 1978, says there's only one way Biden will regain support here.
The President of the United States, the most powerful nation on the face of this planet, has to step up to the podium and he calls on an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. Stop this genocidal war.
The mayor says people here have long memories.
We have individuals here who live knowing the scars and the trauma because they have the first-hand accounts of what it's like to live under an oppressive Israeli occupation.
As Chefs for Palestine raise funds for humanitarian aid to Gaza,
thank you all so much.
Palestinian-American Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib is one of just 18 votes in the 435-member House of Representatives to support a call for a ceasefire. Alexis Zaydan has a message for Tlaib's colleagues.
We see you, we see your silence, and you will see us when it comes to the 2024 elections.
Here and elsewhere, that gives Biden and the Democrats just a year to recover a loss of confidence among Arab Americans. John Hendren, Al Jazeera, Dearborn, Michigan.
In sports, relevant stakeholders of Jamaica's premier sporting venues say the facilities have been unaffected by Monday's earthquake. The 5.6 magnitude quake was felt island-wide on Monday, with aftershocks felt throughout the course of the day, including at Stadium East, where two Wren-Nephew Jamaica Premier League matches were being played. Cricket West Indies has announced that Barbados Pride all-rounder Raymond Reefer has been suspended from bowling his slower balls and cutters in all cricket matches. We have more details from TTT Live.
Should Reefer use these deliveries in a match, CWI reserves the right to suspend him from bowling altogether. Reefer, Barbados Pride's left-arm seamer, was reported by the match officials during the CG United Super 50 Cup match between Barbados and Windward Islands Volcanoes on the 25th of October at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy. In accordance with the procedure for suspected illegal bowling actions, the match footage was sent to Loughborough University for an opinion report. The report was determined that an illegal action was used to bowl the cutters and slower balls. The Barbados Pride are currently fourth in the table with 24 points after their 4 matches, having won 2 and lost 1, with 1 no result due to rain.
And that's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks for watching.